That's the new got the best, the hottest band in the world.
Hey, Schmackabagab, it's Black Sabbath Sunday, and Mark Daly. This is the second donation he did for the Black Sabbath Sunday. He saved Black Sabbath 2 weeks, man, and he wanted me to talk about Black Sabbath on the Dehumanizer tour when they played the Beacon Theater. And it's up on YouTube, and I have seen this before because I'm a bootleg collector. I've been collecting bootlegs since like the 90s, well, really 80s. Yeah, I'd say around 85 is when I started, and I had this Beacon Theater show. It's also complete on YouTube, and also the show I saw, Sunrise Musical Theater, it's completely on YouTube as well. That was bootleg as well. And I have that one as well on a DVD now. Let me talk about Dehumanizer. I've already done the album review, so if you want to know what I think about it, you can see it here on this channel. And I was so excited that, you know, Dio was back in Sabbath. And I'll be honest, you know, the first thing I heard was a Time Machine. They released it on the Wayne's World soundtrack, and I was pretty disappointed. I was like, oh, not a fan. I'm still not a fan of that song. And but I love the album, and when the album came out, I was stoked when they were coming down here. And down here, it was with Danzig, and I know the Beacon Theater had Prong open, so I got Danzig. I got the better band. I like Danzig more. I'm not a fan of Prong. Sorry with excuse me, but you get to, if you like Prong, you win, I lose. But I dig Danzig, and that was right before Danzig went, you know. And it was awesome. Danzig was awesome. It was a rare, only time I ever seen him do Heart of the Devil, which was cool as hell. But anyway, I'm looking at this Beacon Theater again. You know, I mean, he sent me a link, but I said, man, I'm going to go watch it on my TV. Because I don't have YouTube hooked up to my TV anymore. But that'll change soon. So I went and grabbed the DVD, and I kicked back with my Crystal Light peach mango green tea drink, kicking back watching this, and man, I was like, man, it's so vicious. And I do remember watching this. I mean, it's identical to the Sunrise show. It's, you know, no different. Same set list and all. You know, there's a little different banter in between, where Dio doesn't talk much in between songs, but he was always kind of that way, you know. It's like, we're here to just play music, you know. I'll say a couple words, and then we'll go into songs. But man, watching that, you know, Beacon Theater show, it just reminded me when I was at Sunrise Musical Theater, and I gotta tell you, Dio was like hungrier than I ever seen him in all the years I've seen Dio. Yes, I saw the Heaven and Hell tour, I saw the Mob Rules tour, I saw not Holy Diver because they didn't come here, Last in Line, Sacred Heart, almost said Sacred Reich, Lock Up the Wolves, and then this one, and I've seen him several times after. And man, he was just on fire. He had more, he just had something to prove. You know, this is the Sunrise Musical Theater, which is, you know, half an arena. You know, where Mob Rules was at the Hollywood Sportatorium, big arena. And, you know, Beacon Theater is not an arena either, so he just gave it all, man, and he was just on fire. It's like, just the way he would deliver those lines, it was like Dio on steroids. And I might say, I saw that same hungry Dio the next time I saw him on the Strange Highways tour, which was a club, not even a theater. So, you know, Dio had something to prove, and I got the set list right here, and I want to go through it. They open with Mob Rules, well, E5150, and then Mob Rules comes out, and damn, pummeling, man. What a show. What an amazing opener, you know. It's just badass, you know. And then they go right into Computer Gods, which I was so happy they played that, because that's probably my second favorite, probably on the album. Computer Gods, and then right into Children of the Sea. Children of the Sea is like, man, watch, you know, I didn't watch the Sunrise version, but watching this, when he does Children of the Sea on the Beacon Theater, man, tell me this guy is not on fire. I mean, jeez, when it gets heavy, you know, and it's like he's just delivering it, man. I mean, like, bam. Then they go into Time Machine. Unfortunately, I would rather have heard Sins of a Father or Letters from Earth. I prefer those songs from Dehumanizer over that one. But whatever. You know, it's Dio with Black Sabbath. I ain't complaining. Right into War Pigs. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I mean, Dio obviously is a superior singer to Ozzy Osbourne. But I don't like the way he does Black Sabbath songs with the Ozzy era. I just don't. Where, you know, I mean, I'm just more of an organic guy. You know, I prefer Paul Di'Anno and Iron Maiden. I prefer Ozzy and Sabbath. You know, even though I love the early Dickinson stuff, I love all the Dio with Sabbath. Love it, love it, love it. I know there's pickle whistlers out there saying, you like Ozzy Sabbath more than Dio Sabbath? Then you must be a hater of Dio. Look out. But it's still cool, man. You get to see, you know, Geezer and Tony out up there, the originator of that song, just blasting it. And let me tell you something, Vinny, no slouch. What a hard-hitting drummer. Great. And then they go into my main complaint of the Dehumanizer show, and I was complaining even after the show when I saw it, was my favorite song off Heaven and Hell's Die Young. And when they played it, they only did like the first verse. That's it. And then they went into a guitar solo. It blended into the beginning of Die Young. You know how the little ominous thing. And Tony goes into guitar solo, which is godly. Don't get me wrong. He even does a little bit of the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath riffage in it. Awesome. But man, why didn't they do that during Time Machine? That would have been awesome. And the first verse of Time Machine go into a guitar solo. So yeah, that's my main complaint. Die Young should not be cut. Not even in half. It was like a quarter of the song. My only complaint. And I remember live, you know, when they did it live, I was like, I hope they go back into Die Young. And they didn't. But that's my only complaint about it. But Iommi does this ripping solo. Now it goes into the song I do love that Dio does from the Ozzy years, Black Sabbath. The way he does it and it extends, you know, the melodies like, what is this that stands before me? I love it. That live Evil version, the Hammersmith version, all the bootlegs I got, you know, from the King Biscuit Flower Hour. I just love, wait, actually it's not on the King Biscuit Flower Hour. Nix that. But I've heard different live versions, of course, because I have a lot of bootlegs. And just love it. And that's one thing I don't complain. When they would play Black Sabbath with Dio, no complaints here. I think he delivers it awesome. Do I think it's better than Ozzy's version? No. Do I think it's worse than Ozzy's version? No. I think they're both equally awesome, just in different ways, you know? Honestly, Dio does it a little more evil, I gotta say. It's just, the delivery is more evil, where Ozzy's version is more maniacal. And yeah, Ozzy did the Satan sitting here, he's smiling, and then he would go, where Dio would go, ha, 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 ha. So that's awesome. They're both awesome. It's like an evil little demon Ozzy doing the laugh and just Satan, you know, coming out of the little Dio's voice, man. I mean, what a voice. What after that? All right, another one. And this, I know a lot of people love this song. I'm not a fan of Master Reality. That's another one. I'm not a fan of Time Machine, Master Reality, and Buried Alive is okay. I mean, but, Master of Insanity, not Reality. I'm sure somebody already typed, it's Reality. I corrected you, pickle whistler. Yeah, I don't care for it. I do dig the opening, what Geezer does. And it is a song from Geezer's solo band. That's where it came from. The Geezer solo band did it before, you know, they reunited with Dio. Next one, I love. And I gotta say, it was a weird opener when I saw them open. I think it was the Dio years. Yeah, it was a Dio years tour. They opened with After All the Dead, which is a strange opener, but still, it kind of worked. It's not like one of these rip-roaring songs, but man, I love that song. It's the second track off Dehumanizer, and it's just, you know, I mean, the whole Dehumanizer album, period, and you could say the same about Strange Highways. It's Dio saying, look, let's get away from the, you know, rainbows and magic and dreams come true, and let's get down and dirty, and that's what this song is, man. This song is just evil and like dark, very dark. I mean, you can say the same thing about, you know, Sign of the Southern Cross and, you know, Lonely is the Word, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, you also had your Wishing Wells and, you know, Country Girl, that was a little more uplifting. This album's dark, and After All the Dead is such a dark, killer tune, and I'm glad that was a song that they added to the set list. You know, so that's cool. Then, the Wrecking Machine, as Dio would call him. He's a wrecking machine. Vinny Appice drum solo. Monstrous, man. The guy just, man, he hits hard. That's a hard-hitting drummer. And I bumped into him in an elevator once, and he couldn't have been cooler, man. Funny dude. But great, great, great drum solo. Going into Iron Man, the staple. I've said this story before, but when I saw the Mob Rules tour, I was in the nosebleeds. And back in the day, kids, before cell phones where you can zoom in and watch it, we used to take binoculars if we had nosebleeds. And when I took my binoculars to the Mob Rules tour, I had like this old hippie guy sitting next to me. He goes, "Hey man, can I borrow your binoculars for Iron Man?" I'll never forget that. And so they played Iron Man. Again, not a fan of how Dio delivers it, but whatever. I saw the Dehumanizer tour. How can I complain? You know? And, you know, it's expected. This is before, you know, because I loved when they stopped doing early Sabbath songs on the Heaven and Hell tours. You know, it was just strictly Dio. But, you know, this was not during that time, and people expected War Pigs and Iron Man and, you know, and Paranoid, so they were played on this show. After that, the epic Heaven and Hell. I mean, how cool is that damn song live? And I gotta say, going back in the day, you know, there was, you know, people were a little more God-fearing back then. And I do remember several people complaining about Dio saying, "I'm gonna burn in hell with you and you and you." Oh, that's not cool, man. Now it's like, who cares, you know? But back then, you know, I mean, maybe, you know, you people in the Bible Belt still care, but down here in South Florida, we just don't care. I love it, and I love that, you know, there's a little black shape in front of me, and the whole stage goes dark, and just a red light is shining on Ronnie as he says that. And then a little white light, it all goes dark again, and a little white light shines down on him. Awesome. Every time I saw Dio with Sabbath, and even the Dio band, they would do that whole bit, you know, and it was always one of the highlights of the show. All right, and that's the end of the set. They leave the stage. We all applaud for 10 minutes. Come on back. Come on, you gotta come back. You know they are. And they come back and they just rip our heads off with Neon Nights. The classic opener of Heaven and Hell. And yeah, what a great opener that I saw them do that as an opening song on the Mob Rules tour. War Pigs is what opened the Heaven and Hell tour. Neon Nights rules. And then, of course, going into Paranoid. You know, to end the set. And not a fan. But at least Ronnie didn't do the I can't, you know, that part where it's like, nah, I can't, when he says blind and it goes into the solo, and on the Live Evil album, Ronnie goes, "I can't see." I was like, what the hell are you, Paul Stanley? Don't do that cringy shit. But he didn't do it anymore, thank God. He didn't do it at these shows. And that was it, man. And I also want to touch upon the first time I saw Black Sabbath and the first time I saw Dio was Heaven and Hell tour, and they played Sweet Leaf that night. Now, I didn't know this because somebody told me this online. When they played Sweet Leaf at the Miami Highlight, you know, I had nosebleeds, and plus, I'm like 14 years old. You know, this is 43 years ago, 42, or going on 43 years ago. Somebody told me Ronnie came out with a joint, and he smoked a joint and then started singing Sweet Leaf. That's badass. I didn't notice that, but somebody said, yeah, dude, Ronnie came out with a joint. Now, I don't know if he did that all the shows on Heaven and Hell tour, and I'm bummed I missed that. I didn't notice that. But back then, I didn't take my binoculars to that show. Actually, I snuck out to see that show. And I said this story before. I snuck out of the house to see a show because my parents would not let me go. And I went anyway. And then when I got home, my dad was waiting for me with the belt. And he beat the hell out of me. And it was worth it, man. It was worth the beating he gave me. But that's it, man. Mark Daly, thank you for saving Black Sabbath Sunday for 2 weeks. Now, I don't know what's going to happen next week. Unless somebody donates, I got to think of something. And don't leave suggesting, because that's not fair to Mark Daly, you know. Mark Daly donated, you know, and I don't like people like, hey, do this, do that. No freebies here, brah. You know. And I appreciate you, but I'm just thinking of the donators, you know. It's just not fair to people that donate to this channel just to give away, oh, I like your idea, let me just use that, and free of charge. Nothing's free except herpes. And you know a good thing about herpes? You only catch it once. Not that I would know. Anyway, so thank you again, Mark Daly, and again, like I said last week, my deepest condolences. Mark just lost his brother, Michael Daly, or Mike Daly, and my condolences, man. And I hope I did you proud, and I hope your brother's looking down on that video I did last week and said, right on, man. So rest in peace, Mike Daly. And thank you again, man. And if you'd like to donate, I got a PayPal in the description below. And please subscribe to my channel if you have not. So, stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and smack 'em. Agaba.